सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे। ॐ हयग्रीवाय नमः। ॐ श्री वल्लभा समेत श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः। We were looking at the atha-sabda-vichaarah. So in this, we were discussing about the nitya vastu viveka. What the Advaitin is saying is, by doing the adhyanam, correct, sanga adhyanam, veda adhyanam, also understanding the artha while doing this adhyanam itself is good enough. The one who is a viveki will understand that Brahman is nitya phalam and all karma phala are anitya, because that comes in the Veda itself. Right? So based on that, the viveki will have nitya vastu viveka, and therefore the purva mimamsa adhyayana is not required, because the Vishishtadvaitin is saying purva mimamsa adhyayana is required for karma jnanam. First this was said, but then we argued that karma jnanam has no relationship with Brahma Jignasa or Brahma Jnanam. In fact, karma is opposed to Jnana. Therefore, karma Jnanam itself is useless. In fact, karma Jnanam alone also is not useful. Even we also say that karma anushtana is required. Even if you want to gain chitta shuddhi, you have to do karma anushtana with yoga buddhi. So that's what we are saying. That being the case, karma Jnanam alone is not enough. Then the Vishishtadvaitin comes back with a different argument, saying that no, what I am also saying is that one has to study the Purva Mimamsa Shastra, and then from that karma jnanam and karma anusthana one has to do, and from that one will gain this idea that karma and karma phala are anitya, and therefore then the Brahma Jignasa has to come. So they are focusing on the anityatvam of the karma. For that also, our Vellangonda Ramaraya Kavi said that anityatvam of karma alone is not enough. One has to know that Brahman is nityam, that Brahma Jnana phalam is nitya phalam, which is moksha. Both together only is nitya anitya vastu viveka, and that is part of the sadhana chatushtaya itself. If that is so important for you, then why are you opposing whatever Shankara is saying? Correct? Whatever Shankara is saying, he is doing dushana. So why are you doing dushana of whatever Shankara is saying? So like this, it was said. Okay. I think this was the last sentence we studied. Apatataha brahmajnana sattvasya sampratipannatvacha. So this, even those one who has an apatata jnanam means what? Like a general knowledge, okay, that there is something called Brahman, there is moksha, and one has to attain that. That is the greatest attainment. All these things, when one hears and also one understands that karma phala is anitya, for that person the sadhana chatushtaya can come, the mukshutvam has to come actually. So that person alone can be the adhikari, okay. And further, kincha asi adhikarinaha jatam toduktam idam karma jnanam kim artha avagati purvakat vedadhyanadeva eva mimamsa adhyanat. So now Bellangonda is asking a question. You are saying whoever is the adhikari for Brahma Jnana, correct? The Brahma Jignasu. Whatever karma jnana you are talking about, correct? How does it come? Does it come because of uh, the adhyanam, correct? Artha, but also artha avagati purvakam, he says. Purvakat means by understanding the the meaning of the Veda mantras also, whatever adhyanam you are doing. So like that you do adhyanam, or you get this karma jnanam by mimamsa adhyanam, from the mimamsa adhyayana. That is the question. Now Bellangonda himself says, na adhyaha. In fact, the if the Purva Pakshi accepts the first contention, then his whole thing is gone, correct? That you have to first do Mimamsa Adhyayanam and then only Uttara Mimamsa. So Vedanta Shastram Adhijigirshuna Purvam Mimamsa Shastra Adhyetavyam iti tvad Abhishta Asiddhehe. So the first one he cannot accept, because if he accepts that, then his own contention that Purva Mimamsa Adhyayana has to be done for that karma jnanam will go away. But second also is not possible. That's what he is saying. Nadvitiyaha. Why? Because the kind of karma jnanam he is talking about is that one has to have, one has to have vairagya from the karma and karma phala itself. Such a jnanam has to come, like that he is arguing, correct? And that will come by doing mimamsa adhyanam is his contention. So, but that is not at all possible. Why? So that's what he is saying now. See, karma mimamsa मीमांसकैः ओके कर्म मीमांसकैः अक्षय्यस्य एव कर्मफलस्य अभ्युपगतत्वात्. So they actually what have they accepted, or what do they recognize? Okay, they say that karma phala itself is akshaya. It cannot be. That is there by doing certain type of karma you get akshayam phalam. Means the phalam will last for a very long time. It's not going to decline or decay quickly. It will not get exhausted easily. It's going to last for a long time. That is what they call Akshaya Phala, and that itself is desirable. That is their thing. Okay, karma phala itself is like moksha for them. So they have only accepted that. And what Nitya Brahmanaha Anabhyugatva, and they do not accept any Brahman as a Nitya Vastu itself. Okay, Nitya Brahmanaha Anabhyugatva. So they have not accepted the Brahman or moksha as a Nitya Phala. So that being the case, by studying that Shastra, how do you see? Because that Shastra is only glorifying karma. If you are studying a Shastra which is glorifying karma, how will you get Vairagya towards karma? That is the point he is raising here. Karma Brahmavadinaha hi Mimamsakaha. So for Mimamsakas, karma itself is Brahman, means the ultimate, okay? The Parama Padam and all that you can say. By karma only you are going to get that. So when we say Brahmavid apnoti param, for them even that Brahmavid is like doing some Brahma upasana, Aham Brahmasmi. Itself is a upasana. It is called Ahangraha upasana, in fact. So like that, they talk about that. So they are all karma brahmavadinaha, means what? Karma itself is the ultimate we have to take. So etena sadhana chatushtaya sampannasya eva brahma mimamsayam adhikaraha iti अधीतपूर्वमीमांसाशास्त्रस्य एव उत्तरमीमांसायाम् अधिकारः इति नियमः इति परास्तम्. Okay, here there is one iti vadadita. Iti vad is there. Okay, so from this what? From all this what we have now proven is that only the one who has sadhana sushtaya, for that person only the person alone is qualified to have the Brahma Jignasa and do the analysis, the Brahma Mimamsa. And whatever you say, like Adhita Purva Mimamsa Shastrasya Eva, means the one who has already done Adhyanam of Purva Mimamsa Shastra, for that person alone, Uttara Mimamsa Adhikara is there, like that, whatever you say. that niyama is negated, it is gone. Okay, it is parastam, it is lost. Okay, so that's what now he has established. Further, what Purvamuttara Mimamsayoho Upajivya Upajivaka Bhava Abhava. So this point we already talked about it, correct? In the beginning only, but again he is bringing this back, saying that there is no uh, this there is no dependent relationship between the Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. In fact, what he is going to say now is they are totally opposed. Okay? In fact, he is saying that Pratyuta Tamaha Tejasoho Iva Virodhat, he says. So it is Tamah Prakashavat Virodha Swabhava. They both are. Because the Purva Mimamsa is glorifying karma and karma phala. Uttara Mimamsa is actually doing ninda of karma phala. And talking about Brahman as a Siddha Vastu. So they are totally different. They are in fact opposed to each other. This is the point. Therefore, what? Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti Brahma Mimamsayoho Upajivya Upajivaka Bhavaha Vidyate. So where is the dependent relationship? That is only between the Sadhana Chatushtaya and the Brahma Mimamsa, he says. It is not between Purva Mimamsa and Brahma Mimamsa or Uttra Mimamsa, but between Sadhana Chatushtaya and Brahma Mimamsa only you have a dependent relationship, because unless you have uh, Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi Shatka Sampattihi and Mumukshutvam, there is no point in doing the Brahma Mimamsa analysis of the Upanishads and trying to understand Brahman. So that is very important. That's what it's there in the Mundaka also, correct? Pariksha Lokan Karma Chitan Brahmanaha Nirvedamayat Nasti Akritaha Kritena. All these things are talking about only Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka. Okay. Also, even there is in Kathopanishad also it is there, correct? This Paranchikhani Vyatrinat Swayambhu Parang Pashyati Nantaratman Katit Dhiraha Pratyagatmanamaikshat Avritta Chakshur Amritatvam Itsan. All these things are bringing out the Nityanita Vastu Viveka, Mumukshutvam and all that, are turning away from the Vishaya, right? Vishaya Sukha and all that, and trying to understand Atman. The Dhiraha there again is, there Dhiraha means Viveki Purushaha. So those there is a dependency between having this sadhana chatushtaya and then doing Brahma Mimamsa. So that's what we can accept. Further, he explains that what kama krodhadi vikshipta chittasya hi thulopi padartha na buddhim adhirohati. He is the one who is in the spell of his own desires. Okay, and also one who is uh, affected by anger, etc. All those things. And one who is distracted by all that. Okay? The one who is distracted by one's own desire, anger, adi padat, you can add everything, correct? Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, all these 6 things. One who is distracted, or one whose mind is distracted by all that, such a person, thulopi padartha means what? Even simple things. Okay, gross things also they cannot understand very easily. Na buddhim adhirohati. Adhirohati means literally rising or ascending like that, but it doesn't get into his head. Okay, that's what he means here. Buddhim na adhirohati means it doesn't get into the head of such a person, even simple things. Then what to talk about the subtlest of the subtle, correct? Kim punaha anoraniyan nihitaha guhayam brahmatma. So then what to talk about this now? Because this Brahman is anoraniyan mahato mahiyan, or yo veda nihitam guhayam parame vyoman, all that it is said, correct? So that which is like the secret, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, in fact. Or Bhagavan says, Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidhenam, Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha, Ascharyavat chainam anya shrinoti, Shrutvapyenam veda nachaiva kaschit. So even after hearing also this Shastra, many people do not understand. So that is the case. And Bhashyakara in the Mundaka Bhashya also, where it is said that Sa Gurumeva Abhigachet, there he says what? Even if you are a Pandita, this Atma Anveshanam Swatantriyena na kuryat. Like that, he gives a, he gives a, uh, there is a rule. Okay, so you should not, even though you are a Pandita in the sense that you know Sanskritam, you may be knowing Nyaya, you may be knowing even Purva Mimamsa, all these things. You may be having knowledge of Vyakarana, etc. But that is not good enough. Or you may have studied many Puranas and all that. Even that is not good enough. Because this subject matter is very subtle. So in one way, in fact, it is the simplest thing. But maybe even because of that only it is difficult, I think. Because many people want something mystic, or they make it mystic, even whatever is simple. So that is the difficulty here. So it requires a guru to actually reveal your true nature and also dispel any wrong notions which you may have about yourself. So that has to be done through a guru only. With a guru, this whatever, this analysis into one's own self. So therefore, there is no question that one who is interested in karma phala, who is a kami, can actually become adhikari for this jnanam. Therefore, what atayeva, in fact, therefore only Shruti, he is quoting Shruti now. Drishyate tu agreya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibihi iti shruyate. This is also there, correct? This jnanam can be there only for the one who, with a agreya buddhya means what? Sharp mind. Okay. One should have a sharp mind means, and sukshmaya sukshmadarshibihi also it is said. So the one who is able to understand subtle ideas and one whose mind is sharp, only such a person can actually understand this particular subject matter. Because see, what is the difference between this knowledge and any other knowledge? See, all other knowledge we know only as an object, correct? We directly objectify with the mind in the case of sense perception, or in more subtle things, like let us say a black hole. Black hole is not available for perception, even light does not pass through that. But light not passing through that itself can become a way to infer that there is a black hole, correct? So we can do some sophisticated observations and use sophisticated inference, etc. And but still finally through inference you are again objectifying it in your mind only. So everything, whatever you know, you are knowing it as an object by objectifying it. Now that's how your journey of gaining knowledge has been. From the beginning, from the time you were born, you are only committed to gaining more and more knowledge about the objective world. In that pursuit, you have taken yourself for granted, because whatever identity was foisted by your parents and the society, all that you have taken, and you never analyze yourself. You have taken yourself for granted. And many people never, never even, uh, whatever, that is all their Purva Punya is or whatever, they don't even come anywhere near Vedanta or analyzing themselves and all that. Their life itself ends with all these pursuits only. Correct? But only very few people think about who am I? Whatever I consider as I, whether it is really the I, whether it is my nature or not. Because if something has to be my nature, it cannot be something which is transient, which comes and goes. My nature has to be something which has to be always with me. It has to be invariably there. And if you analyze like that, then it is very simple. Whatever I know as an object is not I. That's all is Vedanta. Vedanta is very simple that way. Whatever I know as object is not I. In fact, many objects, external objects, there is no confusion. Confusion starts from the skin onwards because we place the I on that. So that is the one has to address that. But even to address that and finally understand oneself is not easy because this is so natural, correct? That's why Bhashyakara says this is Naisargikoyam Loka Vyavaharaha, like that. In the Brahma Sutra Bhashya also, it is there beginninglessly, it is there actually. Therefore, one has to overcome this conditioning. The habitual conditioning is very powerful. So that's where it can become difficult. The other thing is, you cannot know yourself as an object. That also has to be very clear. Because always the, the tendency is to somehow objectify oneself. So even let us say I tell you are Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Now you are limitless means what? Some people will start meditating that they are spreading all over everywhere in the space, etc. But that is also not correct. You can visualize like that. Maybe that's an upasana. But space itself is you. That is the point. That is Vedanta actually. You are not in space time, but space time is in you. Correct? So it is not like experientially you are becoming Ananta and all that. We are not talking about that actually. So that is where it can become little subtle. So you have to know yourself, but you cannot know yourself as an object. In fact, you need not know yourself as an object. That is the beauty here because you are Swaprakashaha, Swayam Jyotihi. So that has to go in very clearly. So all we are doing here is removing wrong notions about yourself. That is good enough. Once all the wrong notions are gone, it's a journey of growing clarity actually. And then once you are clear and that knowledge is assimilated and available all the time, that is what we call sahaja. Otherwise, normal people, what is sahaja? Means they think they are the body mind sense complex, correct? They have an identity based on that. I am a human being, etc. No, that identity itself has to be transformed. Self transformation has to happen. Your sahaja should be aham satyam jnanam anantam brahma aham asmi. That has to become sahaja. That has to become your nature. So it involves certain preparation of your mind, then one pointedness, focus, study. All these things are required. So it requires a certain sukshma buddhi, means the ability to appreciate subtle things, and also sharpness of mind, means one pointedness. So all these things are very important. So he says that buddhehe agriyatvam sukshmatvam cha shamadamadi samskara vasha labdham ekagratvam sukshma vastu darshana samarthyam hi. So by saying this sharp mind or the subtleness, etc., what is meant there is the one pointedness which you gain, correct, by having this shamadamadi Shatka Sampatti, correct? Shamadama Uparama Titiksha Shraddha Samadhanam we say. So through that, the Samadhi Shatka Sampatti only helps you to have this Ekagratvam and Sukshma Vastu Darshana Samarthyam. It's nothing but that only, that Ekagratvam you gain by Shamadamadi Shatka Sampatti. That is the one which gives you the ability to grasp even subtle things. There is nothing subtler than the Atma. Atma is the subtlest of the subtlest. Okay. Or subtler than the subtlest, I have to say. So therefore again we come back to the sadhana chatushtaya and in that Samadhi Shatka Sampatti. Okay, so he says that Tasmad Yaha Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampannaha Tasya Dridha Brahma Jignasa Jayate. So only the one who has this Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, for that person only the firm desire to know Brahman can rise. Okay. Sacha Jignasuhu Brahma Mimamsayam Pravartate iti Kritva Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampannaha Eva Adhikari. So that person who is desirous of this knowledge, only that person will will pursue this analysis of Brahman, which is called Brahma Mimamsa here. So in this manner, what the one who has the sadhana chatushtaya only is the qualified person for Brahma Mimamsa. Natu karma matra jnanavan, not the one who knows only karma, how to do karma, etc. Or napi Mimamsa Shastra matra Avagati Manscha, also the one who has studied Mimamsa Shastra also, you cannot say that that person is qualified for Brahma Mimamsa just because he has studied that Shastra. Understand that? So, this Karma Matra Jnanam or even Mimamsa Jnanam automatically will not make you an Adhikari for Mimamsa because they are not connected really. There is no Sambandha between the two. Okay. So then do you say that the one who has studied Purva Mimamsa should not study Uttara Mimamsa? If you ask like that, he says no. So na etavata tasmabihi anadhita Mimamsa Shastrasya eva Brahma Mimamsayam Adhikara iti uchyate. So he makes that also clear. It's not that we don't say that to do Brahma Mimamsa you should not study Purva Mimamsa. Like that also we don't say. We say that Purva Mimamsa is not a prerequisite. Somebody may have studied Purva Mimamsa, and then after that, that person also can be a sadhana chatushtaya sampannaha. Correct? One can gain nitya nitya vastu viveka, vairagya, etc. And then pursue Brahma Mimamsa. We have no problem with that. We are not saying that one should not study Purva Mimamsa. We are only saying that Purva Mimamsa itself is not a prerequisite. Okay. In fact, he says that he even accepts that there is some use in all these things. Correct? So he says, Kintu Tarkadi Shastra Adhyayana Tulyameva Mimamsa Adhyayanam Iti Uchyate. So what we say is, it is like, see, there is some use in studying Tarka Shastra, etc. Correct? Because by studying that, you get a certain idea about how to do Anumana, what kind of mistakes one can do when inferring, etc. Hetwa Bhasa and all is there. So what are the different kinds of Hetwa Bhasa? All these things, it helps. Okay, in fact, modern education, if you have studied also, it is good enough. You have a certain level of analytical ability and verbal, and quantitative may not be very required in Vedanta, but analytical and verbal ability should be good enough, I think. Okay. So even with modern education, that's why even my own Guruji, uh, he did not encourage us to really get into all this Tarka Shastra and all, because he said that anyway, they are all building castles in the air, correct? Because they start directly with so many padarthas and all that, so many categories, as though that is the truth. And then they start building everything from there. So the starting point itself is wrong. So there is no point in going into that in detail, etc. In a traditional context, studying Vyakarana and Tarka and all help people to develop verbal and analytical ability, that we have to accept. It is still valid that way. So the Mimamsa also actually helps you to understand, it has its own principles of interpretation and all that, correct? So those are all useful in fact. So in that way, tena anumanadi padartha parijnanaya yatha tarkadi shastrantaram kinchid apekshitam tata shastram api apachcheda upakrama sandarshadi nyaya avagataye kinchid apekshyatam nama न एतावता अधीतमीमांसा मीमांसस्य एव ब्रह्ममीमांसायाम् अधिकारः इति vayam brumaha. So, what we are saying is, there is some use in studying Mimamsa Shastra, like even Tarka Shastra helps you. In Mimamsa also, there are certain nyayas are there, correct? Like Apachcheda Nyaya, Upakrama Nyaya, Sandarshana Nyaya, all these things are there. But Apachcheda Nyaya means that in certain karma, there are very strict rules are there. Okay? And if some lapse happens, let us say, for each of the lapse, there are some Aishita one has to do. Like that, rules are there. But if more than one lapse happens at the same time, what should Prayasita one has to do? Or if first one lapse happens, next something else happens, which Prayasita one has to do, like this and all, there are arguments are there. So in there, the Apachcheda Nyaya means whatever happened later is Balavat. So you have to do Prayasita for that. Like that, they arrive at a certain conclusions and all that. Like this, the Upakrama Nyaya means whatever is before. In certain context, whatever is before we have to take. Apachcheda Nyaya will apply when two things are totally not dependent on each other, okay? Independent events, but then whatever happens later is Balavat and all that. Like this, in fact, this Apachcheda Nyaya, even in Vedanta, sometimes some acharyas use, for example, saying that first we see, let us say, Mrigatrishna, okay? So we see mirage water, let us say, but then when you go near, it is negated by a stronger cognition, correct? So whatever happened later, that later cognition negates the previous one, means even that is taken as apachcheda nyaya sometimes. So like this, certain mimamsa principles, in fact, even the Tatparya Nirnaya, for the Tatparya Nirnaya we quote, correct? Upakrama upasumharau abhyasa apurvata phalam, all these things. Arthavado upapatti cha lingam Tatparya Nirnaya, like that. All these things also we take from Purva Mimamsa. So there is no problem with that. But so some help is there, but based on this, na etavata adita mimamsasya eva brahma mimsayam adhikaraha iti vayam brumaha. But we don't say that just because mimamsa is somewhat helpful, we don't say that only if you study purva mimamsa, you can study uttara mimamsa. We do not say that. Is that clear? So he makes that clear here. So anyatha, otherwise what? Adita tarkadi shastrantarasya eva brahma mimamsayam adhikara iti vaktavya Vaktavyatva apatte. So if you say like that, then we have to say only if you study Tarka Shastra, then you can do Brahma Mimamsa. Okay, like that. So to be qualified for Brahma Mimamsa, you have to also do Adhyanam of Tarka Shastra, Vyakarana, whatever. Sankhya Shastra, why not? Yoga, everything we have to include them. But all those darshanas, if you take, they are all actually opposed to Advaita, correct? They are all Dvaitins only. Everybody other than Advaitin is a Dvaitin. Even Vishishta Advaitin is not really an Advaitin. As soon as you say Vishishta, there is a Vishishta and Visheshana. Two things are there. So where is Advaita or anything? There is no Advaita. Everybody is only a Dvaitin. Other than the Advaitin, everybody else is only a Dvaitin, and they fight amongst themselves also. That Gaudapada Acharya also says. Parasparam virudhyante, tair ayam na virudhyate, like that. Anyway, uh, so therefore what he is concluding here. So he says, Tasmat dhridatara brahma jignasa udayat prageva nyaya mimamsadi shastra adhyayanam tataha paschattu brahma mimamsa eva adhyetavya. So before one gets this firm desire to know Brahman itself, the other shastra and all you can do adhyayana. Okay. So Nyaya Mimamsa Shastra Adhyanam you can do. It's not that it's a prerequisite or anything, but one can do that. But afterwards, once you have this Brahma Jignasa again, At that time, you cannot say that, no, 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 the prerequisite is there, now go and study Purva Mimamsa and come. That's not correct. Once you have the desire to know Brahman, and then only Brahma Mimamsa alone has to be done. You have to study only the Vedanta Shastra. So that is our conclusion. So yatha karma jignasa udayat prageva tarka adhyayanam tataha paschattu mimamsa eva adhyetavyaha tadvaditi. So again, even before you have this desire to know how to do karma, etc., normally we study some tarka. Tarka and all is tarka and vyakarana are required in general by everybody. So you would have done that adhyayanam. And then afterwards, when you have this karma jignasa or dharma jignasa, at that time only mimamsa has to be, purva mimamsa only has to be studied. Like that, once you have brahma jignasa, only this brahma mimamsa has to be done. Okay. Now, nanu adhita sanga swadhyayasya eva nityanitya vastu vivekadina brahma jignasa udeti iti kritva. Okay. Swanga swadhyaya anantaryam atha-sabda-vichaarah iti vaktavyam iti chet ma evam. Okay, now another point is raising, very interesting. So what he is saying is, one who has done this adhyayana along with the Vedangas, okay, Veda adhyayanam along with the Vedangas, for that person alone nitya vastu viveka etc. can come, the sadhana chatushtaya. Okay, and for such a person only the desire to know Brahman will rise. So in this manner, can we say that every you have to do your Veda Dhyanam along with the Vedangas? Can we say like that? This is the question now he is raising. Okay. So Sanga Swadhyaya Anantaryam atha-sabda-artha. So the atha-sabda-artha, why can't we take it as Sanga Swadhyaya Anantarya rather than Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti Anantaram? Instead of that, why can't we do this? Okay. If you say like that, means it is not like that. Ma evam. Why? Swanga sadhyayanantaryasya dharma mimamsayam ativyaptatva. So you cannot always say that one who has done this Sanga Adhyayana will have interest to know Brahman, correct? In fact, most of them may have interest only in doing karma or knowing what is dharma. So, and also, in fact, the Atha Shabdartha in the Athato Dharma Jignasa Sutra is taken as Swanga Swadhyaya Anantarya, correct? Therefore, it also applies there. That way, there is a Ativyapti also is there, because always one need not have only the desire to know Brahman after doing Adhyayana. So they can also have a desire to know karma and dharma. Therefore, they can go into Purva Mimamsa, in fact. Therefore, whatever you are saying is not proper. There is Ativyapti, means it extends into other areas also. There is a possibility that they may be interested in something else. Therefore, what Swanga Sadhyayanantaram eva hi dharma mimamsayam adhikara iti purushaha adhikaroti purushaha. So, because what for dharma mimamsa, the Sanga Swadhyayanantaram is the qualification. It is prerequisite, and the Atha Shabda in that Atha Dharma Jignasa itself is given that meaning only. Incha Sanga Sadhyayanantaram avasyam samadhi sadhana sampattihi bhavati iti vaktum na shakyate. Further what? You cannot always say that one who has done the adhyayana will get samadhi shatka sampatti and all that. Somebody can do Veda adhyayanam and all the Veda Angas also they can know, but they can be a Kami, correct? Karmi also. They are only interested in Karma Phala, they may be interested in worldly pursuits and all that. Therefore, they are all going to have Samadhi Shatka Sampatti or Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, all that we cannot say. So, Vaktum na Shakyate. So all of them will have definitely the sadhana chatushtaya, we cannot say. Bahunam api Veda Vidam Idanim Samadhi Sampatti Rahitanam Drishyamanatvat. So we do see lot of Vaidikas, correct? Those who know the Veda, those who have done Veda Dhyanam, they do not have any Samadhi Shatka Sampatti and all that. So Samadhi Sampatti Rahitanam, they are all only without the Samadhi Shatka Sampatti that we see every day in our life. Also, Dridhatara Brahma Jignasatu Samadhi Sampattim Vina na Udeti iti. Samadhi Sampatya Anantaryam eva Vachyam. Therefore, what? This firm desire to know Brahman cannot come without Samadhi Shatka Sampatti or Sadhana Chatushtaya. The Samadhi Shatka here is only a Upalakshana for Sadhana Chatushtaya. It cannot arise without that. Therefore, we have to say Samadhi Sampatti Anantaryam, only Brahma Jignasa. The atha-sabda meaning has to be given like that. Chamadama uparati titiksha shraddha samadhanani sadekam sadhanam nitya vastu viveka ekam ihamutra phalabhoga viraga ekam mumukshutvam ekam. Okay, militva chatvari sadhanani. So all these four things he is now listing. Okay, one is this shamadamadi. He in fact lists them each one individually. Shamadama uparati titiksha shraddha samadhanani. These six together is one means or one sadhana. Nitya Vastu Viveka is another means. And then again having dispassion towards Iha means whatever is there in this world and also in other worlds. Okay, you are not interested in Swarga also. You are neither interested in whatever is available here nor interested in whatever may be available in Swarga, etc. So you have a certain dispassion towards all that. That is another means. And then this intense desire for freedom has to be there, correct? So these four together only are the means for this gaining this qualification for Brahma Mimamsa. Okay. Tatra Tivra Mumukshutvam sadhanam, na Manda Mumukshutvam. So even the Mumukshutvam he says, it has to be Tivra Mumukshutvam. Why? Because, see, even if you ask anybody, whether you want the limitless or limited means, what will they say? I want the limitless. Like anybody who goes on the road also, I always say, correct? You ask anybody, what do you want means, I want to be happy. Then when do you want to be happy means, I want to be happy all the time. Where do you want to be happy means, I want to be happy everywhere. So you want to be unconditionally happy everywhere all the time. That is nothing but limitlessness, correct? You want that. But then there is no assimilation of that really, and somehow it doesn't reflect in their pursuits also. Means there is only manda mumukshutvam. Means what? Even really speaking, this attending classes, etc., once in a while and all is not also enough. Tivra mumukshutvam means you have to be ready to leave everything and study Vedanta. Correct? That's why going to a Gurukulam is very, very important. That shows your commitment and what kind of mumukshutvam you have, whether it is a firm mumukshutvam or not, that we will know only when you are ready to give up everything and go somewhere and commit yourself to a certain lifestyle there, correct? That's why going to a Gurukulam, staying with a Guru and studying there is very important. That shows your Tivra Mukshutvam. That you should have very clear idea that this is the only way I can be happy. Therefore, I am doing this. So, in fact, one important point I have to tell you. So, when I went to study with Swamiji, I went from US to the Gurukulam. Okay, in fact, at that time already our course had started and already some 6 months and all was over, but I joined a little late. So when I joined, everybody used to think that as though I have done a big tyaga and all that, because only the two of us, myself and Kalyan ji, We were from US, correct? Of course, some other people who were born and raised in US and all also were there. But we were in India. From India we went to US, which was supposed to be something big. But then we again came back from US to study Vedanta, let us say. So that was looked upon as a big tyaga, as though we have done tyaga. But in reality, if I also think that it is a tyaga means, that's not correct, correct? In fact, my attitude was always that I wanted I wanted to be happy always, correct? And this is the only way it is possible. Then what is the tyaga I have done? I haven't done any tyaga or anything. I have come to Vedanta, I have come to study Vedanta because I realize that that is the only way I can be happy. So there is no question of doing any tyaga or anything. Everything else is smaller than this. Then what have I really given up? I haven't given up anything. So if I think that I have done tyaga means, then there is actually that attitude is not correct. Okay. So going for Vedanta means, studying Vedanta and all means you are actually going to gain the limitless, correct? The greatest. So there is nothing greater than that. And if you are going for that, in reality, you haven't done any tyaga at all. In your understanding, you have to be clear about that. Then you have Drida Mumukshutvam, correct? So Tivra Mumukshutvam, he says. That alone is sadhana, he says, not Manda Mumukshutvam. Why Tasya Mima Brahma Mimamsayam no, Brahma Mimam. It's not very clear, correct? Here. Mimamsa. Okay. Brahma Mimamsayam Apravartakatvat. Okay. That person will not then pursue Brahma Mimamsa seriously if only Manda Mumukshutva is there. यद्यपि यस्य एतानि साधनानि न सन्ति सोऽपि ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा जिज्ञा ओके ब्रह्म जिज्ञासति इति इदानीं प्रत्यक्षं तथापि तस्य सा ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा न दृढ़ा किंतु मंदा एव ओके another point he is saying is even though those who do not have the all this sadhana chatushtaya, correct, all these four sadhanas, even some such persons can have a desire to know Brahman and all that. But that desire may be even an academic desire, correct? Like getting a PhD and all that. And due to that, you can become a professor or get a tenure and all that. So the Brahma Jignasa can be even there for such a person. But that cannot again be considered as a Dhrida Brahma Jignasa. Okay. In fact, the Jnanam they get also, you cannot say that they have really gained the Jnana Phalam. So that is all only manda eva tasmat what sadhana chatushtaya sampatti vashadeva brahma jignasa udeti purushasya. Therefore, finally, what we say, the one who has sadhana chatushtaya, only for that person this desire to know Brahman can rise. Yata Maheshwara Sutra Adhyena Vashadeva. Okay, pratyahara jnanam tadvaditi kritva. So again, we referred to this even before, correct? Unless you understand the Maheshwarani Sutrani, you cannot understand anything. Eco energy, what will you understand? If you don't know already I unrilaki evang I ouch and all that, eco energy will not make any sense to you. Correct? What is the pratyahara in that? How do you arrive at it? What has to be replaced? What is the replacing akshara? Nothing you will know unless you understand the Maheshwara Sutra like that. If you do not have sadhana chatushtaya, then this Brahma Mimamsa is impossible. The Brahma Jignasa itself you will not have, and you cannot do any Brahma Mimamsa properly. Okay, so iti kritva atha-sabdasya sadhana chatushtaya sampatti anantaryam eva arthaha. So we have to take it as that this atha-sabda meaning is what? After gaining this sadhana chatushtaya, thereafter only there is a desire. Therefore, there is a desire for Brahman. Tad uditaha sahi yaha yad anantara iti nyayat. Okay. ghatasya dridha vyaparajanyattvena danda vyaparanantarya darshanat cha iti. Okay. So something which is created or which comes after something else, correct? Like this is a nyaya is there. Like even what the ghata, the pot can come only after you rotate it with a stick, correct? Only by rotating the wheel and shaping only the pot can come. So those activities have to precede the 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 creation of the pot, let us say. So therefore they are all causes for the production of the pot. Like that, the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti has to be there. It has to precede your Brahma Mimamsa. Okay, because that is the Sakshat Karanam for Brahma Jignasa and for you to become qualified to do the Brahma Mimamsa. That's what is explained here. Okay, the rest of the things we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
Oh.
धन्यवाद.